tldr Steam account manager. How eloquent. Isn't there a way to say and? Like targus, or rather. So config macOS or config Windows. So you don't need to copy it. But why? Is there a Linux one too? I have a separate entry point. So why do you have CFG at all? Seems odd. Okay. So let's start at start. Oh. Wait, you're reading? What is this doing? You're reading a single byte? If this is meant to like wait for the person to press a key, then you should put this in its own function, because otherwise it doesn't really make sense. Or like I have to spend a minute parsing it to figure out what the heck it does. Do you use this anywhere else? No. The output is in a function, so it's clear what it is doing. Also, if you use an if like this, well, you could use a case, and then you wouldn't need to do .error, because oh, they changed their color scheme. So you're like, this would return an OK of the error, which is weird. Not an OK, sum of the error, which is weird. If you use a case statement, it won't be wrapped in that sum. Yeah, that's what it meant, a match. Wait, what the heck? This doesn't make sense either. Or at least, oh, okay. I didn't see this thing. Why is, okay. Okay, let's go back to main. Oh, and you have this unwrap here. So yeah, if you use a case, then you wouldn't need the unwrap here either. So, I mean, I haven't done Rust in several months or a year or something, I don't know. But you could do I guess they don't use the word case. You wouldn't need this. And then you can have configuration equals, and then you can get rid of the unwrap. Well, actually, you already do that, so I think you would need mutt there. No, you don't need mutt there. So yeah, if you use a match, you can get rid of your weird option wrapping, and you can get rid of the unwrap call. What do you mean it? Well, Rust just has more syntax. And a lot of it is less ambiguous, so you can color it. So you list. So these comments are useless. Like unwrap our configuration. Well, the code already says that. Perform an if loop. Well, the code already says that. Get input. Code already says that. Some of these comments clue you in that these code isn't as clear. Like instead of input, it should be command. Instead of list, it should be list accounts. Like it should be renamed to list accounts. But otherwise, the comments are just repeating the code. Because imagine you had a comment for every case. Well, that'd be stupid because it already says what it's doing. Were you the one that posted some C# code like 2 weeks ago? Not 2 weeks ago, a few days ago. Yeah, you showed me vaults. So you're doing the same thing here too, with the comments. So it's not a language specific opinion that I have. So let's look at lists. Well, I think I don't have any Rust specific things. Maybe I do. But like these enums are only colored differently because they begin with a capital. If I make them a lowercase, then Vim highlights them as if they were functions, which is wrong. And it only highlights them as if they were functions because it's followed by left parenthesis. So if I put white space there, then it doesn't think that it's a function. And it's only highlighting this in red because there's a bang there. If I get rid of the bang, then it doesn't see it as a macro. And same with this. It thinks this is a namespace because of the double colon. So it's just that the Rust syntax was better designed for tooling like that. So if I say list, if I enter the command list, then it's not going to do anything. It just prompts me again. Maybe it'd be nice for it to say I don't have any accounts. Your configuration thingy. Where's your configuration struct? Here it is, accounts. So you have a vec. I would imagine vec has a is empty. So I would use is empty instead of length equals 0. I'd say if it's empty. But that's just personal preference. So that's list. Delete. So you call the user would call it delete, but internally you call it remove. It's easier to navigate software if the outside and the inside are the same. Some people phrase it as the business language is the same as the programmer language. Like the terms used by the programmer are the same as the terms used by the business people. And that has a bunch of benefits. Remove. Please choose 9 to remove. So if there's no accounts in the configuration, then remove should tell me that there's no accounts. But what it does now is just says, please choose an item. And yeah. So you could do the same match thing that you did with, or that I did with configuration. You can do it here with your isNumeric stuff. So here I do something like this. So it's shorter, well, partially because I removed some white space, but yeah. But this means I can't type in the name of the account. I can only type in the number, right? Which is kind of lame. But I mean, whatever. So this is bad. You're not doing your bounds check correctly. Because if I type in, if there's 3 things, it'll say, or let's say 2 things. So you had an example. So you have Gmod and CSGO. If I type in 2, then IDX would be 2. In this case, accounts.len is 2. 2 is not greater than 2, so it's going to skip this check, and it's going to call remove. And I assume that'll panic. So you want to check greater than or equal to, not greater than. Or you can, maybe there is a safe remove. Maybe not. Append, clear, dedupe, extend for slice. I guess it doesn't have a try remove thing. So you need to fix your bounds check, otherwise the program will crash. Why is this bang? Why isn't this just a function? Why is this a macro? You should print out the error message, because maybe it's likely that the error message will help. If it's like access denied, then it's useful to tell the person access denied. If it's like the directory doesn't exist, then it's useful for the user to know the directory doesn't exist. It also would be useful to know what the file path is, so if you can show the file path in the message too, that would help. So that was remove. Return and add. Choose a password. Should this be a password input instead of just a plain text input? You have MUT and non-MUT references as input. Huh? Whoops. Whoops. So you have one call to it. Oh no, that's the wrong. Save. I don't see how that would matter. Why does it matter if you have MUT references? Can't you take a shared reference to a MUT thing? Well, you obviously can. So I don't see how. Maybe try again, because I don't know. Because. Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. Why this would be necessary as a macro. But if it is necessary, that solidifies my idea that Rust is stupid. I encountered similar issues where Rust didn't let me factor code the way I wanted it to be factored. Just because it's got a bunch of deficiencies. So if so because you do unwrap, well, I don't know what the behavior would be, but and I don't know about Windows, but on Mac and on Linux, the convention is if you hit Control D if you didn't type any characters, and that's sending end of line to the program or end of file to the program, and that would cause, I don't know what the Rust wrapper does, but you might get back end of file or just an empty string, and I think you want to stop your program when that happens. It's terrible. That's a strong. Anyway, writing user interfaces is hard. You seem to do an alright job. Check out select. That is when you type in a number, okay. You also have this bounds issue here. And you don't need to check if it's empty. You only need the bounds check. Because if you do the bounds check correctly with greater than equal to, then this first check doesn't do anything. And because you have this expression duplicated in a few places, you probably put it in a function. So you don't get sad. Well, actually, you have the same check and then unwrap pattern, so you can use a match, which is a little bit safer. Launch Steam. So I like if I say launching something or starting something, or basically if I use ing verbs, I print that before it's going to happen, so that if there's an error launch Steam, then I will see this log message before the crash or whatever, which will help me understand as a user what is being screwy. And here it'd be nice to print out why it failed to launch by printing out the message. So you have Mac and Windows, okay. So here you're not escaping the Steam path. And here you're not escaping the username or password. So if my password has double quotes in it, or maybe a backslash or something, well, you can't see what I'm highlighting. If my password has some funky characters in it, or even if my username has some funky characters, it's less likely, but it's likely that the password has funky characters, then it'll screw up launching. Does this, I guess this doesn't create a box. So, like here, you're leaking memory because you're not deleting the memory. Well, no, this is not heap allocated. Okay, that's not a pointer to, yeah, okay. So it's just stack allocated. So this is not a malloc or calloc or something. All right, never mind. Create process A. You shouldn't use create process A, you should use create process W. Also, you're not checking the results of create process, so if this fails, then you're not checking the result. Does it really take a mutable pointer or a non-const pointer? Really? That's weird. No mut, no mut, no mut, no mut, no mut. Yeah, but that's fine. Create process A doesn't depend on their active code page and other nonsense. So you don't care about inheritance and all that crap, so you're fine. Sleep, no. Get running Steam process. So what the heck does the string and the use32 mean? It's unclear. You should make a struct for this so you give them names. Apparently it's the process path and PID. I kind of guessed the PID, but U32 doesn't tell me PID, you know. Oh, this is the wrong thingy even. Wrong OS. Is it a PID here too? It is the PID. Yeah, you're right. These are the more interesting parts. So you die after that many attempts. And then ret equals I don't know why this is all one big unsafe block. Seems like it should be multiple, but whatever. So doesn't it return a bool? Yeah, it returns a bool, so you should compare against true or false. I mean, not that it matters much. You need to, so you need to clear, you need to not clear, you need to close the handles that are returned to you. So create process will return handles in the, I think, process information struct. See, handles in process information must be closed with closed handle when they are no longer needed. So you're leaking resources. So you should, I guess, write a wrapper around create process that returns the handles, and you can just drop them. Or it doesn't even need to return the handles because you never use them, so. So get running Steam process on Windows. Yeah, tool help. So what are you looking for exactly? Looking for Steam. Okay. Probably should be case insensitive comparison. But, I mean, wait, hold on. You're calling this from here. So wouldn't you use the thing from the configuration, Steam path, to determine what steam.exe is? Shouldn't this be like equals Steam path dot file name? Here you're leaking your handle here. So you probably want a little handle wrapper to help prevent leaks. And actually here you're leaking as well, because you never call close handle when these happen. What's the program supposed to do? If you have multiple accounts, you can launch Steam with those different accounts. I think. Also, hello, this is Android. When I got back home, was it last night? Last night. You were gone. think. So I didn't catch your stream after that. Yeah, I know it finds it through the running processes, but shouldn't it figure that out? Figure out what the process is called based on what the configuration says it's called? Because you already have configuration to say what steam.exe is, like the full path, so you could launch it in the first place. So I would figure that you would use the same configuration for finding Steam. Why do you get terminate and VM read permissions? Oh, okay, that's why you get VM read permissions. Why do you get terminate permissions? Seems odd. Yeah, that is wrong. Also, you shouldn't use A, because if I have C program files but it's in German and it has umlauts everywhere, then maybe this doesn't work. Or I guess German's a bad example, but you know, if it's not just English or some Latin European languages, then you would want to use the W version. You find that configuration path using the runner. Oh, you do? Oh, okay. So you have a chicken and egg problem. First time setup. Okay. Got it. Got it. So you get file module, blah, blah, blah. Cool beans. Oh, and you also leak process handle. No, you don't. Never mind. Oh, here's your close handle of the snapshot. But you're not closing it up here. So you wouldn't need this if you implement drop if you make a struct for the handle and then you implement drop, then you wouldn't need to clean up manually and have that issue. Yeah, I'll get to Mac in a second. I want to look through all the Windows stuff and then take off my Windows hat and put on my Mac hat. So you had first time setup. Okay, that's other crap. What was the other part? Wasn't there another part? All this crap. Get running Steam, find documents. Huh? Load configuration. Oh, okay. That's boring. Okay, now I can look at the Mac stuff. Also, like, .0, if you're doing stuff like this, it makes me think you should use a struct instead of just a tuple. Okay, let me get some water. Result of an option of configuration or an error. Rust. So when do you call first time setup? Retarget. Okay. Steam.unwrap. So you can do the same match stuff here to get rid of this unwrap. Also, so if there's So let's say you have a machine with two Steams running, one as your user and one as somebody else's user. Then this will return an error because you don't have permission to get their Steam exe. So instead of returning an error, maybe keep a note of the error and keep looking until, like, keep trying all the steam.exes until you get the good one. So the way I would structure this is, instead of putting all this logic in the loop, I would make this, maybe make an iterator around this, the stuff. Actually, shouldn't you, are you skipping the first one? I think you're skipping the first one. So if Steam happens to be the very first process in the list, then you're going to skip over it. Anyway, I'd probably write a wrapper around this just to return all the PIDs and the file names. I think iterator doesn't let you do how I would want it to work because of Rust. But and then you can filter on everything with steam.exe, and if there's none of the things are steam.exe, you fail, saying nothing was found. If there are multiple, you want to check all of them and fail if there are multiple instances that you can access because you don't know which one. And if you can only access one of them, then you return that one. If you can't access any of them, you report an error, which is probably a permission error. I think Rust is not a good alternative for C. Isn't system always first? I don't know. Is it? Is that guaranteed? If it's not documented, then it's probably true because of how Windows works. And people write code like the one code you wrote. Well, this at least the docs doesn't mention it. At least the docs for that function doesn't mention it. But usually use a do-while loop. And I don't know if Rust has a do-while loop. If it doesn't, well, that's another reason not to use Rust. Because it doesn't have do-while loops. So yeah. You should, I would probably wrap this in a function at the very least, in an iterator if I can, a Rust iterator thingy. So then it's easier to work with, and I don't have to worry about the snapshot handle so much and stuff like that. Still need to worry about it, but it doesn't clutter the code. So every release, I really want to try Zig, the Zig programming language. The next time I want to do something C-ish, I'll try Zig. This doesn't look like the docs I saw. But yeah, the Ziglang looks promising to me. And it looks like a decent C alternative. So check that out. Though I haven't used Zig, but I like what I read so far. So in Mac, we have a Steam Mac bootstrapper. And we tar up what do you mean, our bootstrapper? Who creates the Steam Mac bootstrapper? This is John Hillington's Steam Manager. Steam provides it? But why would you need it? Why would you need the bootstrapper? Because the user already has started Steam. So I don't see how, like, what others, why would you need extra setup after that? Because Steam's already running. At this point in the code, Steam's already running. Is that part of this repo? I don't remember seeing it. Where is it? Okay, so it's the tar.gz is installed by Steam. This thing is installed by Steam, steam.app. So what does Steam Mac Bootstrapper contain exactly? It's not that it forces me to do things that are verbose. It prevents you from transforming your code in reasonable ways. Steam app is inside tar.gz, but it's also already extracted. It's already extracted. So I don't... What? I guess I would have to try installing it on my Mac to see what you mean. It's not. How is it not? So, get running Steam process returns you the path to the executable that's running right now. Then you take part of it and you strip off the suffix, which implies that steam.app was already part of that path of that running process, which implies that steam.app existed already. So I don't see how it doesn't exist. Oh, get running Steam process returns something else? What? Why you do this? Ah. So this function lies. Doesn't return the path of the real thing. Okay. So why do you make a .app? Contents Mac OS D. Wait, so this presumably is already in a .app. So shouldn't this be like steam.app/content/Mac? Well, whatever. I'll trust that you're doing the right thing. Why does it suck, Camo Viking? Auto close. Okay, auto close makes sense. So why does this return none? Why doesn't it just return the configuration it was given? Seems like a weird interface. Let's see. I know it's a reference, but I'm saying you have this code. I'm saying you could do something like this. And for the one caller, this thing, let's copy the rest here. Couldn't you do something like, let me wrap this so you can see it. When you do something like new configuration. Oh, you can't do that because I guess you could just make a copy of it. You can feed it an on reference. You can. Well, it's in a real programming language, I would say reconfigure and first time setup. So reconfigure could take a thingy. First time setup wouldn't. So this is how I would model it. And the retarget would call reconfigure. Or whatever, you know what I mean. It's not that you're lazy, it's that Rust makes you do more work than you need to do, than you should need to do. Now, okay, this is odd. If the configuration was already there, you save it. If it wasn't there, you don't save it. That seems weird. So in this caller, you save it explicitly. In this caller, you don't save it. So I think I would move the save outside of first time setup so it's consistent. So your use of libproc looked okay. You're not freeing the memory from PIDs. Well, actually I don't know if this is a wrapper I get it looks like a wrapper, so never mind. You're fine. This you can, in this case, you can actually use the question mark operator. So, well, no, you. I guess if you want to wrap it in this thing, then you can't just use the question mark operator. So we'd have to map the map error and then use question mark. So map error whoops. Question mark. And then you wouldn't need unwrap. Hello, I'm Brax. Goodbye, Camo Viking. Your opinions are for some reason I keep thinking eloquated. I don't think that's even a word. Free code review? I don't know if this syntax is right. I haven't used Rust in a long time, but you tried to use a class. Cool. Okay. 4 methods, huh? Why are you casting? I guess it's all procpid's fault. So isn't process name the full path, or is it just a name? I guess it's just a name. Am I up for the task? For reviewing 4 methods? Seems fine. So John, this looks alright overall. Has some like micro optimizations, some local, what do you call them? People optimizations you can make in terms of readability, and I think this thing is weird. The whole dot replace inside of this function is weird, but overall it's alright. You also wrote it bottom up instead of top down, which, yeah, whatever. Yeah.